Good evening, and welcome to another segment of the New Black Leadership Coalition informational, inspirational program here live on Facebook, but in the studio of the great IntellectualRadio.com. I love that name, Intellectual Radio, and we promise that it will be indeed intellectual. Beyond intellectual, it would be just plain butt naked truth. I'm taking a little bit from Brother Harold and the butt naked truth, but I am so thankful to Almighty God for blessing us with another day of life on this planet called Earth that we do not take for granted. I thank Him for our ancestors. I thank Him for all of those folks who have played an important role in our lives. We thank Him for our families, our children, our friends, our co-workers. We thank Him for our comrades. We thank Him for our mentors. We can just go on just thanking Him for those that sometimes don't get any credit. But we are very, very blessed and highly favored because we are the type of show that don't sugarcoat. We don't water it down. We will call a spade a spade. And in this particular dispensation of time, we need unadulterated truth. We need individuals that will not compromise and sell out just for a not 30 pieces of silver, but 30 chicken wings. You know, we got the type of and I don't like to call them leadership because I'm real careful when we say the new black leadership, and I love the way the co-founder, co-host, founder, co-host, and of the new black leadership, my brother, my friend, Minister Michael, the breath of fire, is here sitting in the studio today. And I'm so happy to sit next to Minister Mike, wealth of knowledge. But you know, more than anything, I gotta say this about Mike that I love and admire is that although he would, you know, do what he needs to do and speak the way he speaks, I've watched him grow. And I love the fact that you're listening to a man that is not a punk. You're listening to a real man that loves our people and ain't afraid to tell the truth. Now, some of us might not like it, but I don't think you like everything you read in the Bible. And if you do, you're lying because there's some straight up whoopings inside that book, in both books. But anyway, I am so honored to be here again on a Monday night. And thank you all for tuning in. All of you all that are beginning to tune in, you know we're not here to waste your time. Not at all. So great to see you, Minister Mike, on this beautiful Monday night, misty.
That's right.
You know, but not super cold. And by the way, I will get back to the word super in a minute. I'm not going to spend too much time on super, but how you feel, my brother Mike?
I'm doing great by the grace of God, Brother Gregory. I want to thank you for hosting this show and sponsoring this show on behalf of the New Black Leadership Coalition. It gives us an opportunity to bring forward our founders, our founding board, the members of the coalition who are the cornerstone of what we're trying to do and the movement we're trying to facilitate around leadership, because we believe that everything is top down. And so our head is at the top, and thereby our feet at the bottom, and everything in between has to follow the direction, the commands, the instructions, and the quality of function of the head. And so in the Black community, we don't have a violence problem. We don't have a financial or economic problem. We don't have a moral problem. We don't have any of those things. What we really have is a leadership problem. And so we have to deal with those who claim leadership and move the frauds out of the way, set a tone and set a example whereby we can purge the ranks of so-called leadership of people who are not rightly motivated and not truly committed to the uplift of the least of our community. And so we have a lot of classism, we have a lot of cliques, we have a lot of different sects and groups in the Black community. And generally, those of us who are the best educated or best socially mobile, we benefit the most by making ourselves pets of white America, as the Honorable Marcus Garvey has said. And so our challenge is to leadership, because if we can set a tone among leadership, then in the long run, we can affect the masses of our people. And so I thank you for consistently and having the ideal to come on Intellectual Radio so that we can begin to showcase some of the brothers and sisters that we know, pardon me, that over the last 20 or more years, depending upon the individual, have sacrificed their own time, their own money, their own sweat, their own blood, their own tears, their own lives, their own family time, their own opportunities to get big contracts or big checks or big endorsements or some uplift in status. They've made sacrifices on more than one occasion over a protracted period of time based upon their commitment to some philosophy and ideology that is rooted in the freedom, justice, equality, and liberation of Black people. And so we're very blessed to be here tonight. And on that note, before we get into the topic material, I just want to announce two events that are coming up on that involve our membership. The first one I want to announce is the A. Philip Randolph Gentle Warrior Awards Gala, which is coming up next Saturday, February 18th, from 5 to 9 p.m. It's a black tie event sponsored by Dr. Lynn Hughes and Brother David Peterson, who run the A. Philip Randolph Pullman Porter Museum, and this is their annual fundraiser that they'll be hosting on Saturday, February 18th. Master of Ceremonies is Brother Cliff Kelly from WVON. They are honoring some social elites, I'll put it like that, in the community that make good guests for fundraisers. The Gentle Warrior Award is going to Congressman Danny Davis, President Tony Pretwinkle, President of the Cook County Board, John Rogers, the Chairman of the Ariel Investment, David Doig, I think is his name, the President of CNI. And the Change Agent Awards are going to Melanie Spann Cooper from WVON. They're giving an award to Pam Zeckman, who does a lot of investigative reports for CBS, as well as Dave Zavini, Brad Edwards, Diane Latiker from Kids Off Roseland, and Brother Rico Nance from down at Lighthouse Whole Food Grill, of which I am a frequent supporter and customer. He has great fresh food there. So this is their annual fundraiser. And so they've got a lineup that will bring people out and spend some money so that they can keep that independent Black institution going. So you can check on our Facebook page and find this event as a event that we're co-sponsoring for promotional purposes on Facebook. And the second event I want to mention is happening this Thursday at Chicago State. It's titled Black Power and COINTELPRO. Black History We Should Never Forget. This is co-sponsored by the New Black Leadership Coalition and the African American Studies Department at Chicago State University. Our comrades, Professor Kelly Harris, Dr. Kim Delaney, And it's featuring civil rights and criminal defense attorney, brother attorney Lewis Myers, who was my personal attorney on many serious cases. He got the government up off of me a couple of times. And he's represented everybody from Larry Hoover to Reverend Jesse Jackson to Minister Louis Farrakhan and many Black Panthers. He's very close friends. Not only has he represented them, but he's close friends with a lot of the original Black Panthers. And also featured is Chairman Fred Hampton Jr., the son of the late great icon Fred Hampton, chairman of the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party. These two individuals will be featured. Of course, Chairman Fred is a member of the new Black Leadership Coalition, and we hope to add Lou Myers as a part of our Council of Elders. And so we want to encourage people to come out this Thursday from 12:30 to 2 p.m. at Chicago State University in the it's the Student Union Rotunda, the Student Union building, right in the rotunda. These two giants will be talking about that movement, the Black Panther Party movement, historically and currently, how it is, moving forward. So
great.
Yeah.
Great. Two great events. Good work, good work, good work. Although I would not be giving neither one of those people that you mentioned a warrior awards. I wouldn't be giving them 0. But I love David. I'm sure there's some very, very wise thinking and strategy and etc. And having this body of individuals. But not one of them will I give one award to.
Yeah,
I love Melody. She's a friend of mine.
Yeah, but if he put the New Black Leadership Coalition on there, he probably wouldn't raise much money. He's got to have.
Oh yeah, I see.
You know what I mean? So the wealthy people patronize the wealthy people, and so I think that's the strategy
Good
behind.
Pony show,
right?
Because we do want people to go and support that great museum,
right? The
A. Philip Randolph, because David and Dr.
Lynn Hughes,
they are doing a phenomenal job there, and so let's go and support them. So anyway, with that being said, there's so many things to talk about this evening, you all, and I want to start here, but I mean, it's just I'm going to spend only a few minutes on this because I watched some of you all faces. It was around the same time, 9 o'clock. The faces looked just like they looked when Hillary, when things were turning around for Hillary around 9 o'clock. The polls began to look as though she was going to win in the very beginning. And around 9 o'clock, like that third quarter last night, around 9 o'clock, around 9 o'clock, things change. Now, there's some conspiracy talk. I ain't getting into that. I can say there's some very, very controversial calls. But what I do want to say about sport and play is this: they all win. Every last one of them won last night. They got a check.
That's right, a big check.
A very, very big check to make it to the Super Bowl. And while we are busy getting upset and blood pressure going up and, ready to throw some company out that was going for the opposing team, our energy should not be wasted. And I get it, a little fun here and there, but don't let that raise your blood pressure up. That is not a priority for us as a people. So I just wanted to get that out of the way and calm you down. God got a bigger plan for us. Everything that's happening is by his command, his wishes, and you keep thinking that it isn't, but it is. You just got to understand a much, much bigger picture. And that's where we go wrong. I was checking out, and I said this, Minister Mike, and like your opinion, I would love the producer of the show's opinion, but he's over there doing his job. But this one particular thing, I was thinking that, and folks, you should call in too. If you have some comments or questions, you can call 708-223-8953, 708-223-8953, and say what you have to say. So I was thinking that if and I was reading what Donald Trump was telling one of his I don't know what to call this guy, but during Black History, during this month, so-called Black History Month, because it's all day, every day, all year. We have too much history to try to throw into the shortest month of the year, which is all by design. But I said this, it made sense, but I don't think it's going to happen, that here's Donald Trump. He sends in his, I don't want to call this guy out of his name, Pastor Darnell Scott.
Mm-hmm.
But they was sitting around a table introducing themselves, and he had the audacity. Now, you're supposed to be a pastor. You call the Black brothers and sisters here in Chicago, you said you met with some gang thugs at the table, national, international. You put that out, sent that out all over the world, silly. Any of you all know Darnell? Call Darnell and tell him that he is absolutely an idiot to say such a negative thing, that, and then you had the audacity to say, and he looked over at Mr. Trump, the president, and said, if you bring down the body count, then I'll think about bringing in some social services. If you bring down, how far should we bring it down, Mr. Scott? You are silly, brother, from Cleveland. Now I know why Steve Harvey met with the president. Y'all both from Cleveland, Ohio, and ain't fixed one block in Cleveland. You have no reputation of doing nothing with street organizations. Zero. So how the hell you think you gonna come to Chicago? And then you meet with opportunists. Yes, that's what I said. You met with opportunists who really want just a couple of dollars, and they playing games. Nobody should meet with you. You're not qualified to be met with. Now, I'm just being honest with you. Maybe you should go and work with HUD, or they can find something for you to do, but not this. I mean, it's out of your league. It's just out of, and this is with love. So if you're listening to me, and if you get a hold of this Facebook Live, or you go on YouTube, however you find this or hear this, stop it, brother. Stop it. And take the word reverend or pastor from your name, because you have violated that by referring to some of our misguided, misled young men out here, that some of them are doing behavior that we don't agree with, that we are very, very upset about, and want to deal with, and dealing with it right now. But you don't have no authority to come to Chicago or wherever you were at the White House in that room, referring to them as gang thugs. So that was very silly. But I thought, what if Barack Obama, you got the president saying right after this clown makes that statement, then Donald Trump said, and if you don't, then I'm going to send in the feds. Now, and he have this obsession with what's going on in Chicago. Do he really have an obsession with what's going on, period, with poverty, what's going on, period, with the wealth, the distribution of wealth? Do you really care? You was here before you became president. Like I told Steve, and you wasn't doing anything to help the inner cities. So don't act as though you care about black people, Mr. Trump. That is silly. But Barack Obama, why haven't you returned back to your city? Why would you let Donald Trump come to Chicago? Because you're a former, according to you, and I quote, community organizer. You got star power, and if you called Oprah or Michael or Beyonce or Jay-Z or all the Hollywood people that's you as a community organizer, you could get out in front. You do owe Chicago this, and then many of you all that said this, I'm not going to argue with you. Well, you know he's the president for the whole United States. Well, he's not the president now, and he has star power. So why don't you now come back and visit and do something to help the black community where you got your tutelage and your mentoring from? You can't be sitting on your butt if you really who you say you are. Just because you are so-called retired don't mean you sit on your butt and become just a celebrity. No, bring your butt back to Chicago and help out as a community organizer. How powerful would that be? How powerful would that be? And I guess some of you all, you love to make excuses. Well, you know, you made that, I gave you that, but you can't tell me that he should not return to where he got his start from. You ain't Jimmy Carter. Look what he did when he finished as president. What was that, Habitat? Is that the name of it?
Yes, Habitat for Humanity.
Habitat for Humanity, building home. All I'm saying is that's where your legacy should be. And look, and I want to thank right quick, I know I'm off on a tangent, Brother Enoch, your program on Saturday as a new black leadership member was great. Reset 2017. Does black life really matters to black people? Does black life really matters to black people? And that was a hell of a question. Does black life matters to black people? See, I'm not going to let black life matters. That's a great concept. It just got hijacked. Black Lives Matters was a great concept and still is. But the only problem is, does it matter to black people? And if it matters to black people, well, then why are we sitting on our butts while all around us issues and challenges are going on, and all we want to do is deal with them in such a distance way because we're afraid to engage with our people, our youth, our community, our own family. Walk by them every day. That's why what you just said, Michael, about new leadership, we need it desperately. I was pissed when I went inside of Whole Check Foods. And they asked me after spending all that money, but I didn't care because I was making some soup for my mother. I bought all these items and stuff to make some homemade soup for moms. But at the end of the transaction, I had to give them 7 cents for a bag. And I started to do what that brother did ahead of me. He walked out per item. He went back and got one item and put it in the car, came back. That's what I'm doing the next time I go to Whole Foods or any store, Mariano's. I'm going to leave my stuff right there and I'm going to get one item at a time. Nope, I ain't carrying no bags with me. You carry the bags with you. I don't want them bags in my car. I use it for garbage. But we need new black. I mean, ain't nowhere in the world, man, you going to keep nickel and diming the people as though that's going to close a financial gap. I am just so fed up that we don't have enough fighters, man. And folks, leadership starts from within. Leadership starts from within. We got to stop relying on anybody outside of ourselves to be that leader. I know some of us need to be running for office, but Don't just do it to get a job. Because once you do it to get a job, then you're not a servant. And when I hear that term public servant, damn, then be a servant. But I think the money gets good and it just becomes just a job. That direct deposit hits your account and you're able to take care of your basic needs, and you ride right past the people suffering in your ward or around your district, in the area that you serve. That's not right. That's not right. I'm sick and tired of people making these damn excuses for leaving our people in such a wretched condition, man, and waiting on the bigger society to solve our problems. Man, our community is hurting, suffering, man, and it makes no damn sense. It makes no sense. But anyway, that's my opening.
All right.
But this guy, Darnell Scott, you know, and I tweeted the cat, and he had some old weak excuses. I'm not going to call the people he supposedly met with, because I'm not going to. I don't know if it was true or not. He made up some names I ain't never heard of. One name, I think I know who he met with, but because I don't know personally, and I didn't see him or them go into the same room. But we got people from Cleveland, Ohio, a brother that doesn't have a track record of doing nothing when it comes to street organization or the youth. We got him speaking as though he got something that he can do by meeting with some people, some opportunists, as again I'll say, meeting with a few opportunists. You better check in with the new black leadership. I'm going to tell you again, you better check in, and you know who's part of this coalition. And you know damn well you all need to stop sitting in these rooms with your weak butt, because you'll sell your soul. You ain't got enough courage to say what needs to be said and speak truth to power. So invite somebody in these rooms that got some courage, because all your butt want is a payout. Anything you need to say, Mike?
Well,
but I'm just saying, man, hell.
Well, I mean, that speaks to the issue that I open up with, and the issue of leadership. And so when white people come to power or to achieve power, when they address other white ethnic groups, they address the elected officials, they address the union leadership, they address business leadership, they do address spiritual or religious leadership, but for spiritual and religious purposes. And to the extent that maybe a denomination has some work going on through that structure that has an impact on society, they will address that. But when it comes to black people, everybody seems to defer to the preacher class, if you will, of whom, in my personal experience of working with both Muslim ministers, Muslim imams, and Christian pastors, and a few Hebrew rabbis, most of us who wear the mantle of clergy are very ill-informed about social structure. Most of us are very ill-informed about politics and economics. And so most of us are the least qualified to speak on those topics. We may be qualified to hold people accountable from a moral perch, but when it comes to the nuts and bolts of how you transform gentrified, economically starved portions of the city, or a city where black people reside, how we turn that around, most of us do not have the intellectual or experiential capital to be able to sit at a table and claim to offer solutions. Sincere leadership means that if I am sincere about helping my people, and the president or the mayor or the governor or the county board president calls me to the table on an agenda of turnaround of community, then I have to do my best to bring representatives of each domain of what constitutes the inner workings or social workings of a society. I have to bring a representative, an expert who can represent ideals, agenda, strategy to give concrete, realistic input to offer real solution. And even if it is a situation where they only want me in the room, then if I'm sincere before I go in the room, I'm going to call an emergency meeting with those people and have them lay out for me, not just verbally, but in writing. They're going to present me in brief an outline of a platform and a strategy with goals and objectives that I can articulate on their behalf and check off, go down the checklist and say that I properly articulated on their behalf that which they, as the experts, have said and spoken would help our community in every particular area of our life. And so Pastor Scott did not make up what he said. He did, in fact, speak with people here in Chicago, as well as our brother Jim Brown. And so the thing that strikes me is that not only what I said, but we just don't have an ideal. We just don't have the right motivation, most of us. Our need to be seen, our need to take the photo op, our need to say I was in the room with X, Y, and Z, our need to for this socializing kind of idea is so, it speaks to how deprived we are in terms of our self-esteem and our own personal sense of value and worth, that we run in and out of these rooms and these meetings with people that we think have money or wealth or social status, and we're not equipped to affect any forward motion or progress when we leave the room. So we have a deep problem. Again, I go back to leadership. We have a problem in the ranks of people positioned as leaders in the Black community, because most of the time we are the most ego. We need constant ego supply. We need constant. We need to be on the front page. We need to be in the camera. We need to be on television. We need to be seen and heard at all times. And as long as we are being seen and heard at all times, we're not concerned about how effective we are as leaders. And this is the problem we have in our brother, Pastor Scott, and those others who were in the room at the table who just didn't get as much national attention as Pastor Scott. This is the problem with a brother like Jim Brown, who is one of our elders, and we respect him for his history of taking stands on behalf of the struggle of Black people. But even Brother Jim, you know yourself, Brother Jim, you know that there's some real thinkers in the Black community who have invested their whole life and put their whole life on the line to come up with concrete, realistic, effective strategy and methodology to transform the lives of Black people. So why wouldn't you take them in the room with you other than Ray Lewis? Ray Lewis's only sense of credibility is when he attached himself to the American program. But I can say, as a former facilitator of the American program, that Brother Jim, you've watered the program down so much to make it acceptable to these corrections institutions, so they won't feel threatened, that the program itself, the curriculum of the program itself, is so milquetoast and watered down that if you don't put freedom fighters in your program, the program is not going to transform black men, because the curriculum has been watered down to cater to the appetite, the palatability of whites who control these corrections institutions. So, but Brother Jim, you know, real people, starting at the very top of all of us, from the Honorable Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan all the way down to soldiers on the ground who have, lived the life of a freedom fighter, of an advocate for black people, of an organizer for black people, of concrete thinkers and scholars who understand complex things and how to translate them in simple terms to affect the lives of black people. If we don't have that approach as black leadership and are constantly want to run in the room because we saw a room on the news, then we're not worth 2 cents. Because if we only get excited when a white man calls a table, but when a black man calls a table, if he ain't Jay-Z or Denzel Washington or Samuel Jackson or some big pop star, we got a problem with one another.
Silly.
And we can't go in the room and work anything out because we worried about, I don't want to follow that brother because I don't like that brother, or why is that? I'm afraid that brother's ideal or his way is going to outshine mine or eclipse mine, or whatever the situation is. Our problem is leadership. It's not Donald Trump. It's not Bruce Rauner. It's not Rahm Emanuel. Our problem is black leadership.
That's right. And when we sat in the room with whoever, and we position ourselves from a moral foundation, and we speak that truth to power, and every time we even have a conversation, what's in it? And that's why I have to quote Mays on that. What's in it for black people? Strategically. I mean, every time we go in a room, if you're really thinking about the poor, you will not sell your soul. But if you're going in there using black people as your way, and even the folks who give you the money and they give you the check, they know you a sellout. They know who you are, but they do it because in their brain and their mind, they gave it to somebody black. Although you don't represent black people.
Tokenism.
Tokenism. Some people call you more than that. Some call you Negroes. And I have to say this. If you were not that, and if you are not that, don't worry. If the shoe don't fit, don't wear it. But if you are guilty of this stuff and you have that stupid ego, that inflated ego, and you think it's all about you. And that's why I get on some of you all, in positions of authority, and you got these titles and positions, and you just love to go to these little meetings and galas and stuff, and you think it's the big ticket galas. Put on your tuxedos and you hobnobbing with the next low self-esteem rich one that pulls off with their Benz and their Lexus. Man, you are pitiful. You are pitiful. And because you phony. You phony. You don't care about the pain and suffering of our people. And so many of you all, you too gullible too. Y'all keep piling up in these big conglomerate churches because they got a big name and bunch of people going, you got 2 and 3 services. What the hell are you doing for your people and community? And don't give me some little bitty program with all of the thousands of members that you have. Hell, and you can't say you got farmland right now. That right away would tell you that you're playing games. Need to be better shepherds. You know, but we got too many damn wolves in sheep clothing, and we got too many gullible sheep that follow you anywhere you go. Because we didn't got caught up into the entertainment part of it. You know, we love it, man. And yet, we don't feel the pain and suffering of our people. I know it. I watch them all day long. Some of these same clowns. And I'm telling some of you all that I read some of your posts and I read some of your tweets, and I've heard some of your comments. But if I was you, I'd be a lot more wiser when you start throwing stones and you live in this little thin glass house of folks who have the credibility, and that if they met with Donald Trump or they met with any part of the government or whoever, that they would not sell their soul. They'll walk out of a damn meeting before they sell their soul. But some of you all, you act like you desperate for a few dollars. And just really, you said it earlier, low self-esteem, man. 708-223-8953. 708-223-8953. If you'd like to call in right now, I would love to hear what you think and how you feel, and your comments regarding how we need and why we need new Black leadership. Do you agree that we do, just based on what we have said and what you observe every single day? Look, to me, every household that have strong leadership, and it don't have to be the traditional two-parent household, just that one person that have leadership, morals. My mom, leadership, because in her house, it's a certain time for bedtime. You eat it at the table. You clean up behind yourself. You clean the tub out when you finish taking a bath. It's your night to wash the dishes. It's your day to take the garbage out. Did I hear you all in there arguing? If I hear another word, I'm going to come in there and take care of you. That's leadership. Share what you got. I don't care. You got company over here. You going to share with your company. That's leadership. That's God right there in a person that's making sure that you are fair. We don't have that.
That's right.
That's organic leadership, starting from the house. Now we got these folks that all they want to do is spend on themselves. Selfish. They don't even want no babies. It's all about them. Going to bed by yourself for the last 25, 30 years by yourself. You ain't successful. You in balance.
Yeah, and to go back to, you brought up Brother Barack Obama a little earlier. The truth is, President Obama is back in Chicago. He's been back in Chicago for probably the last year or more through his operatives. And so with the coming of the Obama Library and campus, there are operatives in Chicago on his behalf that are laying the groundwork for the continuance of a political agenda that is connected to the Democratic Party and the status quo in the Democratic Party, as well as other projects that keep the continuance of the agenda of his inner circle of financial supporters who helped to design and propel him into the presidency. They still have hands on President Obama and our sister Michelle Obama. And they're members of a certain group a certain class of people. And so through that library, resources, people are being lined up. Meetings are going on right now to determine who the players will be in Chicago coming out of the Obama library. And very few of the players are going to be grassroots folks. So when you call Brother Obama a organizer, well, he was and he wasn't. He was not an organizer for black people. And so he never was an organizer for black people. He was an organizer of voter registration drives and voter turnout drives, primarily voter registration drives for liberal, white, Jewish controlled organizations. His political organizing had nothing to do with transforming the condition of the lives of black people. He only was in the gardens because that was the area they assigned to a brown-skinned brother to go out there and get exposure at the grassroots level. But it had nothing to do with fighting the issues of economics, economic empowerment, the educational disenfranchisement of black people in the gardens. It had nothing to do with the core grassroots issues of black people in the gardens. It had everything to do with pushing them through a process of voter participation on behalf of liberal Democrats. And so let's be clear. When we say Barack Obama, the activist, he's not in the class of the men and women represented in the New Black Leadership Coalition and others who have yet to become a part of the New Black Leadership Coalition. But certainly the men and women in the New Black Leadership Coalition, if you want to see what real activists and activism is on behalf of black people, then you need to check the resume of our members. But Barack Obama would not fit in a room with us because you got to be unapologetically about black people, and not elite black people, but poor black people to come in the room with us. You can be an elite black person, but you got to be conscious enough to know that you have a duty to the poor, that you have a responsibility to bend over. And it don't matter if you got to break your back bending over, you got a responsibility to bend over and try to pull up poor black people from your elite status. But so Barack Obama is not that kind of person, in my humble opinion, and my witness of his career and his activities in Chicago. He never fought any policies that would cause radical transformation of black life when he was in the state legislature. Never.
No, I didn't see it, and it's unfortunate that we get caught up into the symbol versus the substance. And so symbolically, we get it. Trust me, we supported that. But we cannot be satisfied with symbolism. We need substance, and we need folks, as you said, that are willing to pull up the very bottom of the barrel of our people unapologetically, and don't serve and try to serve two masters, because you cannot be effective that way. And I guess some of you all would like to say, and you've said this before, and the only reason I brought his name up in the conversation is because you all keep referring and saying what Donald Trump is talking about when it comes to Chicago, his policies, what the world is getting ready to turn to, what's happening in the world, the Republican versus liberal.
But let's look at it. Barack Obama never had a meeting in Black History Month or any other month and set any form of representation of black leaders or those who are obviously supposed to represent black people around a table. And he never. Well, we got it. So Donald Trump is a pale redneck white man who grew up wealthy in New York, a billionaire. So from his vantage point, he don't know the real black folks necessarily to talk to, right? But at least he has the gumption to say, I'm going to start with a 10-point program for black people on my platform, and then I'm going to bring black people in and let the world see that from the highest office in the land, we having a meeting just about black people. And Barack Obama never did that.
Right, and they actually said that. One person sitting at that table said exactly, he didn't say it like you, or she didn't say it like you, but they said that, you know, they were glad that they had that opportunity. And as you said, we might not like who was around that table, but the mere fact that they had this meeting around the black history and etc. was to say you had a black man as president, and he could have called in all kind of folks to have a conversation around something that's very important, since it's celebrated all over the country, Black History Month, etc. But they did not do it because they did not want this to see he's a black man. And it's really strange that we keep making excuses that he ain't just a black president. I don't want to hear that stupidity anymore, because all the white president was the white president. Hello? So don't say that stupid stuff to me no more. He was, in fact, a black man. Yeah, that don't mean you have to leave out white people or leave out Latinos or leave out anybody. But hell, you still be yourself.
Well, if you talking to Chinese or Japanese or Vietnamese or Korean people, they're not letting you bring a Hispanic in the room. They don't need a Hispanic in the room. And you talking about Asian affairs, and every president in America honors that. If you're talking about Italian issues, they don't want Irish Joe in the room. It's just the way every group of people are treated within the boundaries of respect. The borderlines of respect are not taken as offensive and disrespectful to other groups. Other groups can appreciate that, hey, I'm not Asian, so we don't need to be over there, Billy, because we Appalachian white folks, and that don't have nothing to do with us. It's only when we talk about President Obama meeting with black people, we have to be unapologetically black. And that means that if it means it's a meeting just for black people, then damn it, it's a meeting just for black people. And if you are intimidated by that, that means you have been affected by white supremacist, racist education and ideology that has instilled in you a pathological psychosis that makes you intimidated by the thought of black people being alone in a room together. You have inherited the patriarchal white male supremacist mentality that we cannot let the niggas go out in the shed by themselves because they will plot how to leave the plantation. That's what your mentality represents.
And let me tell you something. You never complain when you look at the news on each channel. You got 1 and 2, but some news programs, all white men. And I guarantee you don't even change the channel. You don't say, I'm disgusted. Look at this. You talking about race and equity. Give me a damn break. And see, that's where we gotta look. This ain't about a black thing. This is about a right thing. And we're not treated fair. But our biggest problem is, does Black Lives Matter to black people? Do Black Lives Matter to black people? And I'm telling you, if you around anybody that claim to be your leader, that claim to be your representative, if in fact they are not talking black talk, what's in it for our people, how do we benefit, then dismiss them. Because I'm telling you, they're going to do what they need to do when they go in that room. And most of them are scared. They might come out telling you anything and saying anything, but when they get in that room, they scared to say anything because they go along to get along. And we got to stop that. We can still have our respect. I live in a building where it's mixed. I see people, I speak to people, I engage with people. I don't care what your nationality is. I don't care what your ethnicity is. It matters not to me. But damn it, I'm going to do what I need to do for black people because that's who I am. I'm going to always bring up the Robert Taylor. I'm going to always talk about folks from the hood. I'm going to always go back to the hood and work with them. I'm comfortable. I can go where I want to go, damn it. I just left a big boardroom, everybody in there hobnobbing playing games. But I can go right down on 63rd Street, and when I see the brothers in the hood, I don't have to run. I ain't scared of them. Hell, they better be scared of me because they feel my energy. They feel my vibration. But you don't even love them. Half of you all don't love black people. You don't love black people. You don't. You love to get in front of them, and you use, whatever you use, whatever book it is. And I can this spread across every type of religion or an organization. You don't love black people, not unconditionally. No, you do not. Sorry. Nope. And I'm telling you, it's a trick. You're being tricked. Malcolm was right. Hoodwinked, bamboozled. Anybody can come in front of you with a nice song. All you got to do is sing like 2 or 3 songs, get a sad one in, and then get one with a beat in it. And then you can pass around the tray.
Well, that's what the president did his whole 8 years. His most engagement with black people was hosting concerts and social events in the White House. But he never used the national platform to carve out an agenda specific to turn around the quality of life, the conditions of life that poor black people suffer throughout America. He played games in Flint, Michigan. He played games on every single front when it came to issues and policies that directly affect black people. He was silent. He uses extreme discretion. And so we have to look critically at all leadership, especially our own leadership. Now, I am not a fan of Donald Trump, only in the sense that he's bold enough to bust up their system, because I know that God has promised through his scripture that he will break up this world's order and this world's system. And so I can see the divine plan of Almighty God working through even a character like President Trump. But well, yeah. So that might be a little tough for some people to understand or swallow, and we don't have time to get into that. But what I'm saying is, we'll never be mature enough to pick good partners if we can't be critical of what's in front of us. If you believe that the wig I'm wearing is actually my hair and you don't know how to spot a lace front, then when you get that person home and the lights come on the morning after, you're going to have a bad attitude because you're going to feel like you've been tricked. And this is what we're talking about with this party mentality, with this Super Bowl mentality, with this NBA final mentality. Everything is a party. Everything is a game. Everything is sport and play. And it has eroded our ability to think critically and intelligently about the real issues that we should make decisions upon for our children and our future as adults. We are so ill-equipped to think critically about leadership and who we endorse with our vote, our dollar, and our voice.
Boy, I can't believe an hour have gone by this fast. But when you have the breath of fire sitting next to you,
praise be to Allah.
Praise, Errol said. The breath of fire sitting next to you. And folks, I gotta tell you this. Nobody is angry. Nobody's angry. We passionate about the condition of our people.
That's right.
And if it come across like we angry, but God was angry too at what wasn't right. And so out of that vein, out of that spirit, we love you and we care for you, but we're not going to sugarcoat this and go along to get along. We need an emergency type of informational session. We don't need the typical garbage that you hear day in and day out on them dumb stations that you listen to in the morning. I ain't calling no names, but it ain't nothing but a joke. Anyway, thank you, Brother Minister Mike. Tomorrow, Brother Enoch is going to be on with me tomorrow on CAN Television, 7:30 coming to you live. Thank you, Brother Earl Winfrey, best producer on the planet. Intellectual Radio right here, folks. Keep tuning in. Nothing but great shows. Peace and love.